All right, well, welcome. Man, we got to do this like YouTube thing. Yeah, everyone has like an intro, right?
No, it's because I put my hand around. He put his head around.
Welcome to the Shield BJJ Talks.
The triplets.
It's okay, pal. You can laugh too. Camera lady behind the scenes.
We are known as the Misfit Club, not a cult. We might look alike and dress alike, but we're not a cult.
We just love each other that much, that's all.
Matt, did you put some deodorant on, bro?
Nah, son. That's
Juicy.
That's that natural stuff.
All right. So we're gonna talk about a couple things. We're gonna talk about the incident that happened out in Del Mar. We're gonna talk about steroid use in jiu-jitsu and just maybe some random talks. And pick these guys' brains. Why they started jiu-jitsu, when they started jiu-jitsu, and yeah, let's start. So Del Mar. When I heard the news first break out, I was very mad. I'm gonna be honest. I was super mad. I was pissed that an instructor would be so.
And so what happened? What was the news that came out about Del Mar?
Well, yeah, like the dude like broke his back, right? And like the student was paralyzed. The student won $43 million. And I'm like, well, dang. And like how it broke out, right? Like we all saw that like a jiu-jitsu instructor paralyzed the kid.
White belt.
White belt.
Yeah.
Yep. Quotation marks, right? As our camera lady would say. And I was like, man, how could an instructor like be so negligent? And like a lot of you instructors out there was already reposting the story before any news came out.
Yeah.
And I sat there and wait, and I know that some of these guys here with me like heard me rant about this. It's like there's no way that an instructor would be that careless. I can't say no way. We all know there's some jiu-jitsu instructors that are pretty reckless.
Yeah.
But anyways, we have our fellow attorney here. Let's pick his brain about that. So
Yeah, so the lawsuit that he filed. So basically, what had happened was the black belt instructor was rolling with a white belt, right? And so whenever you hear black belt and white belt, obviously white belt they do what white belts do. However, this white belt had some background in wrestling. There was some information that he potentially had competed at a Pan American event. Mm-hmm. So technically, he competed at IBJJF and he should have been competing as a blue belt. So he wasn't a trial class kid, which is how the story made it out to be. And that's a narrative that his attorneys set forth because that's how you get the most amount of money. You say, this instructor, I've been, BJJ practitioner for, 2 decades or however long it's been, and, did a crazy move on a guy, so that's like the original story that came out. Well, it come to find out, he had background experience in wrestling. He had competed at a Pans. He apparently in the footage, that you're going to see, we popped up earlier, what had happened, like he went to invert when the instructor did the back take. You don't know if you ever rolled with a white belt, but they don't just invert if they don't have any experience. Yeah. Nobody walks in off the street inverting.
Unless they've trained before.
Yeah. So, so it happened in California, and so the jury came back, they deliberated for 2 days and found that that the school was 100% at fault because my assumption would be negligence and assault and battery. But when you look at the tape, it doesn't look like anything was intentional, malicious, willful, wanton, all the legal words. And so I don't know what the deliberations were about, and I haven't seen the evidence, but my assumption would be that the story was that the instructor went outside of the realm of jiu-jitsu and was mad or something, or was malicious about it. Because as anyone that has a jiu-jitsu school knows, you have everyone sign a liability waiver, and so people say, well, how did they get around that? Well, if it goes outside the scope of a normal school or training or anything like that, like we've had conversations before about blue belts or purple belts getting mad at a white belt or a blue belt and like, ripping a sub, that could be an issue. And so that's why it's important for those of you that own schools to ensure that, your white belts or especially your trial students are only rolling with people that are not going to intentionally hurt them.
Yep.
Accidents happen, but I'm sure over the years you've seen guys get mad and rip subs and hurt people on purpose.
So what you're telling me is these jiu-jitsu coaches that do the challenges to people and just intentionally beat them up, you're saying that's a no-no?
Yes, I would say that you would need a second liability waiver that says that, hey, this is legitimately a fight and I'm going to hurt you and I want you to just go ahead and waive any liability.
Oh, you guys hear that?
What about, isn't there that law in Texas where it's like a mutual combat or something like that?
I've heard about that, yeah.
So if you come into, just go to Texas and be like mutual combat and...
It should be like that everywhere, but people like me wouldn't have a job if people weren't overly litigious. And so, hey, here I am, baby. So Johnny, you saw the back take. Can you describe from your position as a black belt, as someone that owns a school, like, did you see any inherent issues with what he was attempting to do and what happened, or, what was your take on it?
Personal take.
Yeah.
I don't like doing the Leo Vieira back takes. I take people's back to the side, and I didn't see anything.
Is that personal preference, or is that because of risk of injury?
Risk of injury, for sure.
Okay.
Just because I actually had another black belt that was super saucy with me way back in the day do a similar back take to me, and I did get hurt. But that's not what that black belt instructor was doing. You could tell that he really cared for the student when he took the back. The student kind of almost did like a Granby roll, almost like on top of his head, right? I don't know if that's a Granby roll. I'm not a wrestler. But, yeah, he, like, when he got hurt, it's just like the instructor, like, kind of cared for him. But I don't think, as an instructor, I see that stuff happen all the time. I see actual other color belts or even black belts do even more reckless stuff that laid people out. So, in my opinion, I don't think it was a very saucy back take. It didn't even look that bad, right?
Yeah, man. You're now a tabbed up purple belt. You got some experience under that purple belt. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, when I watched the video briefly, and it's just, it didn't look, dangerous or bad to me. And that's as a purple belt, 4-year purple belt, like, and it's like you kind of sitting there watching it. You really have to intently watch it to try to pick something out. Like, it just doesn't look very, like malicious, like you said earlier, or anything like that. So it's just, it just seems like a freak accident during just rolling.
Yeah.
And but that's my two.
And I haven't seen the pleadings or the judgment or anything like that, but my assumption would be the articles that I've read said that the school was found liable. So I don't think that the instructor was found personally liable.
Yeah.
And so that is an important distinction, because those of you that own schools, you own a gym, it's important to have all your documents in place so that you are not personally held liable, so they don't come after your house, your cars, and all that. Because at the end of the day, your school, your gym is going to be held in an LLC or a corporation or something like that, and you should have a commercial liability policy. And so, yeah, you got a $46 million judgment. What will he get? He'll probably get $1 million, whatever the policy is worth, and whatever assets the gym owns. Okay, so here's $10,000 worth of mats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, he's never going to get that. I feel bad for the kid. And, he was hurt, and I think that as someone that does personal injury litigation on both sides, from both sides of the table, he got hurt. He's got some lifelong damage. Is it good for the jiu-jitsu community? No, but, he does have some lifelong damage. Did he assume the risk? Yeah, he knew what he was getting into, but, I know that personally, if I walked out of here or rolled out of here because I was, partially quadriplegic, and I wasn't able to provide for my family, I would want some sort of compensation. But I would also make it very clear, and if I was his attorney, I would make it very clear that, you know, there's no ill will towards the black belt. There's no ill will towards the you know, school. It's about, you know, compensating him for the rest of his life, because like it or not, you know, his involvement with jiu-jitsu did cause, you know, lifelong damage, and he was like a 20-something-year-old kid. So,
Yeah.
Which leads me to talk about, like, there's some things that happen in Florida. I'm not going to name any names, but there's some very famous schools out there that y'all boys reckless. You boys are reckless. And now another student is legitimately, like, he can't walk. And I'm like, But from close sources of friends of mine, I heard that the gym is pretty reckless out there. But no one says anything because he's a famous black belt. Better watch out who your heroes are. Just saying. Just saying.
If you got schools and you have guests, or even if you have instructors, you need to make sure that they sign independent contractor agreements. You sign agreements that waives any sort of liability if you're not there as the owner at that time, because you want to protect your school, your assets, and your assets.
Yeah, but not only the legal side, also the moral side. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Absolutely.
Hey, say that again. I think you're not going to get picked up.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, a lot of people let their emotions get into jiu-jitsu, and I've certainly been guilty of that before. But once you get some life experience under you, it's usually the younger guys, right? Once you get a little experience under you.
You know, there's a certain. Hold up, man. Like, let me tell you, there's a certain group of people in this community that just don't like visitors that come through.
Okay.
This is an issue in the jiu-jitsu community, and I'm not going to name off any names, but there's a group of people. They see a color belt walking through those doors, and it's already trying to size you up. I've been to many gyms as a black belt, and the first thing other people do is they size you up like that. You see them across the room. Other black belts, they come up, and they're just like this. The color belts come up. It's not just me. It's not just the black belts. It's the blue belts that walk in through the gyms. The purple, browns, it doesn't even matter. Like, it's just a thing. That's a culture that we need to change. And I'm not saying all gyms are like that, because obviously I've come across the schools I stayed at and traveled to. I wouldn't stay there if that was like the mentality, because that's a recipe for us to get hurt. Period. And if your gym is like that, just saying, you know, you got this guy will tear you up in a courtroom. Also, side note, cop as well. Like, I know what these guys do out there in the attorney room. Not attorney room, in the courtroom. You slip up once.
Well, and just not, you know, that too. It's just like, you know, whether or not, you know, whatever buzzword you hear, you know, being in like a toxic environment like that is, you know, it can play an adverse role on your, you know, your psyche. I mean, if you're around a bunch of people who are just jerks and out to try to hurt people, and, you know, you're playing Russian roulette with your own physical health and even your mental health. So find a gym where it's, you know, collegial and everybody gets along for the most part. Yeah, there's gonna be little beefs and scuffles, but I don't know, me personally, if I thought that, like, I don't know, this guy might hurt me one day just because he's an upper belt and doesn't like me, I might want to go shop around a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you recommend? Because I was just thinking, like, they have footage. What would you recommend for gym owners with, like, cameraing up their gym? Like, evidently the footage didn't really help with the decision, or maybe it did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to word that, but
yeah, you know, it doesn't. I think that it would be, if you're doing all the right things and you're not concerned about people in your gym, and, well, first of all, if you are, then you need to remove those people. But if you're doing the right things and that can be used to kind of exonerate you, you should definitely do that. I think every school owner should have cameras, just because if it's an accident, you can show it's an accident.
Yep.
And so North Carolina, you know, different states have different laws. North Carolina is not super plaintiff friendly when it comes to personal injury. When I say that, because we have like, it's called contributory negligence, and so it can bar your entire recovery. And so like, North Carolina, if there's like an accident or someone was negligent, but you also find that the guy that got hurt was also negligent. So like with that tape, it's like, well, why did you try to Grammy roll when you can feel that he was like taking your back? If like if a jury found that he played any part in the injury, then they would bar him from recovery.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the state you're in. But yeah, I mean, there's so many issues out there. It doesn't hurt to, buy a Ring camera and put it up in the corner of your gym. They're like $60 and you pay $99 for the year for unlimited storage.
Yeah.
That works.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
So what was the next topic we were talking about?
Juice sauce, baby. Ooh. All right, let's get into it, baby.
Hold on,
Mika.
Can we clarify that none of us are on juice?
Yeah, none of us. Mika, what was that guy's name? I love that dude. Oliveira, the guy that he just beat at BJJ Stars in the first round.
Oh yeah, the big dude. Whatever his name is.
Yeah, the big dude, the ultra. He's an ultra guy. The fact that Mika Galvao got suspended for juice and then said he wasn't on juice and then beat somebody like 200 pounds heavier.
Oh, and then that his test levels dipped, and his test levels were super. Okay. But let's be real, y'all. Everyone, hold up. I would venture to say a scientific guess that a lot of them are on the sauce.
I get it with IBJJF. If you're competing, you can't own up to it. That's why I kind of respect. Everyone, his name's overplayed, but respect Gordon Ryan making jokes about him not being natty.
Yeah.
But he's like, I don't get tested. Who cares? It's not illegal in my, in his promotions.
But I think my biggest issue is I can't say I don't care. I personally don't care. That's up to you if you guys want to do that. But if you're only testing first place, I bet you the top 10 seeds are on the sauce.
Yeah.
Why just punish Mika? I love Mika. I love his game. And they shouldn't just punish Mika. I think they need to figure a way to either A, test everyone, or B, don't test anyone at all.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair to the first place winner.
Discrimination.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, if everybody's doing it and it's something that's widely accepted, just like hushed, it's.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same with other promotions. People in the UFC have said it for a while before USADA got in there, and NFL. That everyone's going to have like their own. It might not be steroids, but it might be something that kind of everybody accepts and just turns a blind eye to.
Yeah.
Like cops with speeding. Some cops are like, I'm not stopping nobody. I don't care. I'm gonna turn a blind eye.
Man, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
You're not a patrol. Don't worry.
Hey, I am in the summer, baby.
Oh yeah. Shoot, that is coming up.
We don't have to discuss things like.
No, he's gonna give you a ticket if you're in New Hanover County. So.
We're gonna have to bleep that one out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna bleep that out. Well, I think I have to bleep that out.
My fault.
I got a good attorney.
We'll bleep that out. We're gonna bleep this whole section out. Let's restart. And 3, 2, 1.
I'm not bleeping that out.
That's just where you live. I didn't say you worked for any specific agency.
You're right. We didn't say where I work. Now
That's
did we?
true.
Just said you're a cop and that's where you live.
That's true.
Lawyered.
That's right. That's how they get you.
Oh, I know if someone shows up on my doorstep because of this, I'm running.
You haven't said much today,
No.
now, Matt.
Nope,
Matt,
you guys got a lot of good stuff. So
You haven't said much today, and so the third topic that we were going to hit on was what brought you to jiu-jitsu? What does your life outside of jiu-jitsu look like? Whatever little life you have outside of jiu-jitsu. And what motivates you in jiu-jitsu, like to continue?
Let's keep it like this. Only about jiu-jitsu, not about family.
Okay.
Okay.
What brought you into jiu-jitsu?
Man, I just hit a point in my life where it was just like, I didn't feel like I was growing or just, really, accomplishing much. And so I just wanted to challenge myself. And at that time, I was following a couple influencers, and they just started jiu-jitsu, and I was like, okay. I started thinking about it.
How'd you say that? Disrespect, bro.
Showful. Okay, master.
That's when you're gonna get in trouble for it.
Anyway, back to our serious discussion that we're having here on a video. I mean, and so it's something, I knew, like, I was at a kind of a low in my life, kind of, struggled mentally and physically, and so it's just wanting to get back in mental shape and physical shape, and and I ended up finding Johnny back at our old gym, and it just went from there, and just to continue on to what makes me keep going is just, I just want to get better, and that's the thing. It's just that hunger to get better. I don't know how that looks like every time, but it's just get better and just keep pushing. It's just having that it keeps me sharp even just in day-to-day life. It's just there's a lot of stuff I can take off the mat. Just breathing when just tough obstacles or opportunities come in front, staying calm, things like that. So it's just a lot of that goes hand in hand. And what was the third section of that?
Oh, we'd cut that one out.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
do
cut
it. Questions.
But
no personal.
no personal. Yeah, we keep that.
Just jujitsu talk.
Well, there is no life. Once you start jiu-jitsu,
That's right.
you get heavy into it. There is no other life,
No,
really.
Matt takes 1 day off a week.
Yeah, maybe two.
Maybe two.
I hate him for it every single time. Like, where's Matt at?
Man, he just put in 2 weeks when you were gone. Get out of here.
But we are not a cult.
We are not a cult.
2 weeks straight with a comp in the middle of those two teaching weeks too. Competing and coaching.
Boo-hoo.
Plus traveling.
Boo-hoo.
Don't give me that, Johnny.
Boo-hoo.
Hey, you did get a stripe, so.
I did get a stripe. That's true. I'll do it again.
It's a cult, see? I made Master proud. I get a stripe.
Maybe next time I'll change color. Belt color. But,
You should. Hey, speaking of that, you should promote Brandon to purple and yourself to brown.
I could.
Stripe me up, baby.
Hey, that's
I'll give him
that's a new
3
trend
stripes.
we need to start happening.
I want to be a 6-stripe blue belt.
That's even better.
I'm just a 5-stripe white belt right now.
Yeah.
But
Johnny, how did you get into jiu-jitsu?
yeah.
I got whipped by a 16-year-old.
Well,
How
can
old
we let's go on. Let's tangent on that real quick. I think everybody gets whipped up on by some teenage.
That's right.
9 times out of 10,
That's for a
it's a
different day, bro.
teenage female too. If you're a guy,
It's definitely not a lady. It was definitely a little kid.
yeah.
How old were you?
Okay, so 2009. 2009. I'll just give you that. So that.
You got beat up by a 16-year-old in 2009?
Yeah.
Well,
What happened?
Well, I was trying to train for MMA. I was a
He's
little
really
cocky
close.
SOB.
Okay, so
And,
there's some context.
Yeah. So, well, I was doing no-gi and I was doing Muay Thai because I did striking essentially since I was 3 years old. Like my mom made me do it. Like martial arts growing up, and it was just like kind of kickboxing kind of stuff like that. So I did Muay Thai.
Did you do any Ishinryu? Like
No.
Taekwondo?
Yeah, Taekwondo. Yeah, Taekwondo. So
Taekwondo.
my
That's South Korean, right?
Yeah. And then yeah. So I did like some wrestling in high school, and I was like, I thought that was enough. So I went to a Muay Thai school, and I love Muay Thai. And they had like a no-gi class once a week. So I did that, and the dude was like, yeah, I did that, and I thought that was enough. And my buddy was like, hey, you should do jiu-jitsu in pajamas. And that's when that 16-year-old came and whipped me up. And I was like, never again. Never again will that happen.
How bad did she whip you?
It was a he, bro. I gotta give respect to that kid.
Okay,
He still
okay.
follows me on Instagram.
Does he?
Yeah, he
Okay.
does. Hey,
My apologies.
you know who you are.
Is he a black belt?
He's a brown belt now,
Oh.
actually. Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
for
man.
him.
Like he went through some school, medical school. I think he's like a doctor, like working towards to being a doctor right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
So that's 2009. When did you get your black belt?
2021.
2021.
Yep. 4-3-2-1.
Oh,
April
nice.
3rd, 2021.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Under Lucas Lepre. So if you guys in the comments talk about any of my technique,
Blame
I'm flexing on y'all.
So
How did you get into
Yeah.
it?
well, real quick, I want to ask one last question about your journey to black belt, right? So like, what was your like dedication level, right? Were you 5 days a week, like for 10 straight years, or?
Oh man. So
Because I know your involvement right now is insane.
yeah.
Your
So-
morning and night.
Yeah.
Yep. So white and blue. It was just like everyone else because I was having like an identity crisis, right? I didn't know what I liked more, Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu. And then like going through like some of my friends like fight camps that fought like for UFC, Bellator. No, it was like a WEC. Yeah, it was Bellator too. No, not Bellator. Strike Force, yes. And just going through, just like doing Muay Thai with them. I think I hit like an epiphany moment where I got kicked in the leg, and I was like with intent to hurt me, and I was like, that's not fun. That's really not fun at all. He TKO'd me in sparring, and I was like, I'll never want to do that again. And plus, seeing some of my friends became like punch drunk. That's when I like shifted, and that's when I moved to North Carolina. Started training at another Alliance gym, and that's when it went from 3 days a week to 5 days a week. And then when I was deep into my purple belt level, that's when the 2 days came, 5 days a week, and then it became 6 days a week, and then it's like I never have a break. It just got more ridiculous as time progressed, and now it's kind of at least now it's 6 days a week. At least, and the volume is just insane still.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right, Brandon, you got some time? Tell us, how'd you get into it before kids class?
I got into jiu-jitsu. I had done some trial classes before. I grew up wrestling. I wrestled when I was in the Marine Corps, and kind of missed that. I missed that competitive edge. Even though I'm a lawyer and I do like trial work, I get that, but it's not like the same. And so one of my big motivators was that I have 2 girls, and I've said since I found out I was having my first daughter that I thought it was very important for my kids to be involved in jiu-jitsu. Because back then with my, I have been watching, mixed martial arts for 10, 15 years now. But like just my like limited knowledge of jiu-jitsu was like, hey, like pretty much the best premise of jiu-jitsu is like fighting off your back. And so like I was like, I want my daughter to have that skill, because you hear all these horror stories of girls going to college or even like high school, and they're put in a position where someone that can physically dominate them is going to pin them to the ground. And jiu-jitsu just seemed like the perfect thing for a young woman or a girl to know. And so in thinking that way, and I've been saying that for years, and my daughter was coming up on like 3.5 or 4, and I said, all right, I'm going to start jiu-jitsu this year, so that I have a little bit of knowledge and background, and then so when she starts, I'll be able to help coach her and stuff like that. So I started just like a couple days a week here with Johnny, and I can't. If you put it in my veins, I'd be a lot better.
Yeah.
Just like everyone else that gets addicted. I got the bug, and I love it. I didn't have any desire to compete when I first started, but now I'm competing as much as I can. My motivations are to progress, get better, win a world title, age group world title. I'm not trying to fight you young 17-year-old bucks.
No, sir. No, sir.
Like, I can't catch up. So that's how I got here, and I'm here to stay.
With the Bomba sauce, we could keep up.
Yeah, right.
Bomba, baby.
Bomba.
On that note, we going out. Tune out. Shut up, man! I'm trying to close, darn it. Tune in next week. We filmed this on Friday. I posted on Saturday. See you on the mats. Oh,
How was it?